Hello and welcome to the Slapshot Syndicate podcast. Be sure to subscribe for more content, and whilst you're at it, go and follow our social media pages. They're on screen now. Now, on to the episode.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Slapshot Syndicate. I'm back, don't worry. I just had to have a little week off. These lads said it was down to working. It was not. I had to have a week off to just get my headspace back right, brothers, because, you know, after I was called a see you next Tuesday by David Thompson, it really hurt me, so I had to have a week off and just recover from that. So.
Yeah, well, we obviously didn't want to disclose to all of the fans that you was having a bit of a breakdown because of it. So
I appreciate you covering for me there.
Yeah,
I'm happy to divulge into what really happened. And,
yeah, please do.
Yeah, you know, so. Yeah, he did call me a naughty word, and all I asked him to do was sit down, so I look forward to seeing David again sometime soon. Anyway, you've been away as well, mate? You've had a nice time away?
Yeah, it was good, thank you, mate. It was good. Obviously, missed the game on Sunday against Solway, which we'll come into, which I was a bit gutted about, but yeah, I was in Iceland with the missus. Took a few days, went to go see the Northern Lights, the Blue Lagoon, Golden Circle Tour. Just basically anything but catch a hockey game, unfortunately. Although we was on the way to the hotel, we did actually drive past an outdoor rink.
That's cool.
And I was straight away looking to see if they had any games
That's
later
cool.
on, because I thought on a night that'd be great to take her and go.
Love that.
Sit in an outdoor rink.
That. And you've also probably noticed that we're another man missing this week. Rossy's missing this week. He's gallivanting, so after he was giving me grief from not being here last week, you know.
Yeah. I'm sure he'll be back soon. But it was either him or me, I think, on it, and you know, preferred to have me. So
Back to the glory days.
We're sorry, it's a joke, Al.
With that, let's get into Seahawks reaction. So now we're going to look at what the Seahawks did this weekend. Well, the less said, the better. I'd say about this weekend. You know, it's been a real weird one. You know, we had to, as much as, you know, we've heard Matty say this weekend there isn't much to play for, and we're testing new things, giving minutes out here and there and everywhere. We did have a potential chance at maybe having a impact on the league title, and
yeah.
we didn't really do anybody any favours.
No, definitely not. I mean, bit of a bitter pill to swallow, this one, innit, against Leeds. Obviously, it is a Yorkshire derby.
Yeah.
This was on Saturday night. We played at the Castle, and to be honest with you, 7-4 loss. Not great, really, is it, for us? But
no, real mixed bag. You know, I know they was out the blocks and sort of put us to the sword early on. I think there was 3-0 up, and then we started to pull back a little bit, and then I think it was late on they then got their sort of second wind and next gear and put us to bed.
Yeah, players like Kieran Brown coming through for Leeds, I think, in that game. He's had a massive game. We'll come on to him a bit later on, but I know we've been lacking a few players over the last couple of weeks due to injuries and stuff that we've picked up, but you really do expect better. Although looking at that, we've got Deck Barmer with a goal. That was a good result for him. But then again, you've got your usual suspects turning up for the Seahawks, being Bobby Chamberlain, Emil Svek, Johnny Corneal, Sobchak. You know, it's the usual guys in it turning up and doing the business for us. But
Yeah. Like, you know, Leeds had more to play for, to be honest with you. I know it sounds like an excuse, but we've proven this season that when we go to the Castle, we can give Leeds a game, and we've come away with the points when we've been there a few times this season. So we definitely got it in us to get something from Leeds, but unfortunately, our momentum sort of headspace isn't really in anything at the moment, whereas Leeds are still charging for that title.
Yeah, so. No. The only thing is we've got Leeds, haven't we? Ghent at home.
Yeah.
So if Leeds drag this out right to the end of the season, let's say they don't win that game they've got in hand on MK, or where the ones to take them points away from them, that could be interesting, couldn't it?
Be nice, that, wouldn't it, to stop another Yorkshire team winning it, and it's us to stop them. So it could be a big one come the end of the season. You know, these last 3-4 games now for a lot of teams, you know, it's still all to play for in the top two, I'd say.
Yeah.
I think Swindon fell away a little bit, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. But Leeds cruising as normal and expected, really.
Yeah, so I know obviously you guys was trying to keep us up to date while I was away, and none of us really had the chance to fully watch this game, but I was just trying to get like the updates and stuff through. But obviously, like you said, straight away it seemed like Leeds had just ran away with it, 3-0 up. We got our first goal at 26 minutes in.
Yeah.
So probably early on, you assumed that they was going to take away the points, and it just shows you maybe that slow start that we had was undoing. They scored 3 goals by the time we got 1, and 3 goals of the difference to the win. So maybe if we came out all guns blazing and managed to keep Leeds at bay early on or get a goal ourselves, that could have been the difference.
Yeah, I mean, looking at obviously the stats for the game, it seemed like each team's sort of power play was a big factor for the goals. I mean, Leeds got 3 power play goals on the night. We got 2 and a short-handed goal. So, each team making the most of the penalties on the night, which obviously, we've known that we take some silly ones at times, and they've made the most of it. The big surprise, obviously, the short-handed goal for us, which is a real nice one. We don't really see many of those. That was quite a nice additional bonus for us.
Yeah.
Just the only problem was that out of the 4 goals on the night, only one of them was at even strength.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we would. Obviously, we're always going to back the Seahawks in these situations, but I don't think we was ever confident going into this game, knowing the form that Leeds are on at the minute and the run they've gone on. It was going to be difficult for anyone to stop them.
Yeah, totally agreed.
You just hoped that we could be the ones, and to be honest, on that point, I think MK probably thought we could be the ones to beat them as well.
Further,
fortunately, weren't meant to be.
Yeah. Well, we'll leave it then. We'll move on to the Sunday game where Seahawks was at home against the Solway Sharks.
Yeah, you was at this game, weren't you, mate?
Yeah, this was a really weird game, to be honest with you. I know Solway can be a bit difficult at times and give you a bit of a game, but we maybe let them in too much on the night, to be honest with you. Vice versa of what we've just said, we went with a bit of a nice lead in the game, and we scored within 36 seconds, and you thought, right, here we go, we might put these to the sword and double figure them. It didn't turn out that way at all, to be honest with you. We went 2-0 up, and then they suddenly pulled it back and went 2-2. They went 3-2, and we'd thrown the game away at this point. You was like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Fortunately, we got a penalty shot, and Emil Svek, took it, scored it, brilliant, 3-3. And then you think, we're onto a good comeback here and potential to go on to win it, and we never really got ourselves back in front and controlled the game at all.
No. Well, I was trying to keep up to date with this one as well while I was away, but so I saw we'd gone a few goals ahead, and then I sort of put my phone down at that point, thinking, we've probably got this one in the bag now. So I was pretty shocked when I looked back and saw that it was going into a shootout, and not really what you want to see as a home fan, especially knowing that Solway Sharks, they tend to turn up, but it's usually at their gaff, not at ours, and anywhere around the league for that matter, and vice versa. When people go to them, they struggle. Obviously against us, it was.
The thing is they've still got a potential to qualify for the playoffs. I know they're 6 points behind or something like that, but them last 2 playoff spots are certainty, so they've still got something to play for, and I think again it showed where we got a lead and we sat back and was like, we're going to cruise this, and then they thought, no, Seahawks ready for the taking, and it proved, because anybody who wasn't there or didn't see the score, it was a 6-5 win to Seahawks in a shootout. But even as we got into the overtime period, Seahawks, they didn't look like there was in it at all.
No. I mean, we obviously got that penalty shot, didn't we, as well, during the game, which played a massive part. Obviously, got Svek stepping up for that one, which is, you probably would have wanted him on that shot as well, to be honest. But good to come away with a win. Probably a little bit more nerve-wracking than we would have liked.
Yeah, I think Matty said it perfectly. He wasn't happy with it, but he said we showed character.
Yeah.
Having to dig it out and really...
bit of grit and determination.
And I think it needed to be that way in the end. Like you say, these last couple of weeks at the minute, it's kind of nothing to play for, so there isn't really much to take from it. It's just spreading the minutes out. You mentioned about Sobchak being hurt. He was pretty quiet on the Sunday at home, and I would potentially give him maybe a week off now.
That's a good point. That I didn't know that, but you said that, maybe that is the best thing. Obviously, we are going to come into this playoff season and things are going to start getting really physical.
Yeah.
maybe it's the time to set him aside and just let
Yeah.
him have a rest.
Yeah, like you say, I watched your guys' interview with Tyler, and yeah, it is. It's harder hitting, it's quicker, it's more fierce in the playoffs. So if you guys are a bit hurt now, maybe best to give him a week off. I did wonder if Matty had done this with Dima this weekend, because I noticed Geordie played both games.
Yeah.
So again, is it just a spread of the minutes? Is Dima maybe carrying something and needed the week off?
Yeah.
Who's to say? But I don't think there's much really to say about the weekend, to be honest with you. Yeah, we lost a game we probably would have expected to lose, and we scraped by and won a game that we probably should have maybe dominated a little bit more.
Yeah. All in all, we'll take the 2 points for the weekend, but...
And we move on to the next weekend, which should be the interesting one, which is the double header against Peterborough.
Yeah.
And that concludes the Seahawks reaction this week. So now we're going to look at the results from the past weekend. There was some decent results. More high-scoring games. So we'll jump straight into it. The first game of the weekend was Friday. It wasn't Leeds for a change.
No.
Instead, it was Swindon who hosted the Bees.
Yeah, and we had a chat with Tyler in the interview, and he said, how hard it is to go to Bees, and they've got like a really good setup at their gaff. So to come away 3-0, that's a big result for Swindon.
Yeah, like you say, Swindon, their home form has been pretty decent. So obviously taking that into account, you can see why they've won at home. Shutout always good. They've fallen off a little bit. I don't think they're in the chase for the title anymore. So they're probably just holding on to third at the minute, maybe trying a few things themselves. Not really surprised by that result, if I'm honest.
No, definitely not. So then we move on. We've got the 8th of March. Obviously, we've been into the game about Leeds and Hull Seahawks.
Yeah.
Leeds coming away with a win 7-4.
Yeah.
So we don't need to labour that point. I'd rather not go back down that rabbit hole if I was you.
Would rather not.
But Solway Sharks, they had the Swindon Wildcats. They won 4-2.
Yeah, Swindon, back-to-back nights and back-to-back victories. Yeah, as much as I say they're not in the league title, it may be a real outside chance, depending on how games go, you never know. But like you say, they're probably just keeping momentum going. You two talk to Tyler and what the mood is in the camp and how they're playing these next few weeks.
Yeah.
And he said much the same. They're just trying to build a bit of momentum, try a few different things going into that playoffs.
And I think that's the key for them, to be honest with you. Whilst it might be a bit out of sight now, they have to have their eyes on the playoffs and the final four now.
Absolutely.
Surely, because they was there last year. They'll want to be back there again this year because they want to top what they did.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think it is just a case of just getting your goal scorers in good confidence, D-men, winning the duels, getting them confident. And like you say, I think the results they'll come as long as you're trying those things and trying to test new things out.
Yeah, they've got the quality there, haven't they?
Yeah,
so the results will come.
I think it is just trying to build a bit of momentum going into that playoffs.
Yeah. Then we had the Sheffield Steel Dogs and the Telford Tigers. 7-4, Telford.
Yeah, so Telford, I think they're right up there as one of the more informed teams at the minute.
Yeah, proper underdog story.
They've literally just flip of the coin and bang, they've been getting some really good results, and they knew they needed it to push in for that playoff spot, and that is a great turnaround. It just makes you question, why they didn't do this sooner. I know they really struggled at the start of the season, but they could have been a lot higher up if they kept up with this.
Yeah, absolutely. What do they say? Form's temporary, but class is permanent.
Yeah.
And that's the key. Really, is alright turning it on towards the back end of the season when you feel like you've got something to fight for. But where's that attitude throughout the season? And, but not taken away from the results they're getting at the minute. There is something special, and I really do hope they make playoffs, in my opinion.
I think they will, and I think they'll be one of the harder teams to play as well. The way they are playing at the moment, like you say, beating Sheffield 7-4, there's nothing to sniff at there. That is a decent result. Sheffield, I know it's their first sort of season under this new ownership and what they're trying to build, and they probably will be a lot better next season. But when they've played us at their gaff, we've come away nothing a lot. Yeah. So, like you say, any team that can go there and sort of give them a game, fair play to them.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree with that. Then we've got the Bristol Pitbulls and the Romford Raiders. Very high scoring game.
Yeah, 9-5 in favour of the Pitbulls.
That's surprising to me.
I was going to say, this one was, I was going to say the more surprising result of the weekend, but to be fair, it's probably the second highest.
Yes, yeah.
On the list of surprising results this weekend. But fair play to Pitbulls, you know. Again, Romford can be one of those sides which can be quite tough, something to get at, and they did. You know, 9 goals past Romford is decent.
Yeah,
it really is decent.
It is. We've struggled against Romford a few times this season,
yeah.
So they've got something good going on as well there, and they seem to be. They seem to have built some momentum towards the middle of the season. That's obviously just maybe dropping off a little bit now.
Yeah.
Especially having, I think they've qualified for playoffs as well. So, maybe again their eyes are just on making playoffs, getting people healthy. Trying to try new things out and just going into it with the right attitude.
Absolutely.
So we might see some of these results coming now, which brings us on to Milton Keynes Lightning and Peterborough Phantoms. One of these teams still had something very big to play for.
Yeah, so the last fixture on the Saturday, and I remember looking at this one and having to double take and just being like, whoa, hang on a minute. So if you don't know, Peterborough Phantoms took this game 5-1 at Milton Keynes.
That's massive,
That is a massive away win, that.
Yeah, it worries me though because we've got these to play this weekend.
Yeah, so
a double header.
It's an interesting one because, like I said to you in the Seahawks reaction, I would potentially be resting some Sobchak.
Yeah.
So going into playing Peterborough and not having Serby, would be a big risk. But is it worth losing to them twice now and then maybe beating them in the playoff?
Yeah, potentially.
You know what I mean? So,
potentially.
But absolutely massive well done to Peterborough on that one. That is a big win.
That's a phenomenal performance. That's probably one of the hardest teams to go to and come away with results. But come away with a 5-1 result is, unheard of really.
Do you know what? I bet Leeds, after obviously playing and beating Seahawks, they must have been thinking, whoa, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
The door's been open for us here. Yeah. And I'm really shocked by Milton Keynes there.
Well,
I
it was
thought it'd
theirs
be a lot
to lose,
closer.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's the thing is when they've been top of the leaderboard and with a few points on them, it was theirs to lose. Would you say they've lost it now, or do you think? Because really, all these have to do is win their game and keep some consistency.
I was going to say you can't afford to drop. Peterborough are not a bad side, but I still think most nights Milton Keynes would probably fancy themselves against pretty much anybody, but definitely against Peterborough on that night, and they've let themselves down really.
Yeah. I agree with that one, man. Okay, so moving on then, we started the Sunday fixtures on the 9th of March with Romford Raiders at Milton Keynes Lightning. Again, a little bit of a wobble for MK.
Yeah, I was just going to follow on. We mentioned about the defeat there against Peterborough, and then to play the Raiders, who we just mentioned, they got a good beating by the Pitbulls, but they've hosted the Milton Keynes Lightning and forced an overtime.
Yeah.
And by the skin of their teeth, Milton Keynes have taken that second point, which was just keeps it going for them a bit longer. But a bad weekend, in my opinion, for Milton Keynes. Regardless of it being, a win on the Sunday, it's not emphatic and it doesn't look good.
No.
If you're seeing that in Leeds' position, I think, well, we've got these. These haven't got it.
If you're Tim Wallis as well, you're looking at that and the alarm bells are ringing out.
I think you need to review a lot of what's happening.
Yeah.
Whether he knows plays a hair. You'll never know. But on face value of us looking at it, that is a worrying weekend.
Okay, so then we had the Hull Seahawks at the Solway Sharks. Again, we've talked about this, but Hull coming away with a win, but in a shootout. Solway Sharks, a very gritty performance and not one we'd have expected to see. So we'll move past that one and into next week. But then the Peterborough Phantoms took on the Sheffield Steel Dogs and come away with a win, 6-4 against Sheffield. So
4 points for the Peterborough Phantoms. They are another team that, much like Telford, have built up a real nice head of steam and they look really good. It will be a tough test for the coming weekend for the Seahawks to play this mob.
Yeah, well, look at what they did last season. They went into...
They won it.
Yeah, into
from
the final.
An unlikely position.
Underdogs and come away with it, and it was phenomenal to see. So maybe they're just building that momentum again. Who knows? It
seems like they're scoring plenty of goals. Obviously the defensive side must be working quite well to keep Milton Keynes out. I know they've conceded a few more against Sheffield, but yeah, I think Peterborough are in a good place at the moment. I was on about this with my old man, and I'd be a bit concerned of getting them in that playoff group, to be honest with you, because I think they could easily turn a few people over and maybe surprise someone.
And then we've got the Telford Tigers. They was against the Leeds Knights. Leeds coming away with a 3-0 win. Probably I would have expected a higher scoreline. I definitely expected Leeds to come away with the points on that, but
I'd slightly disagree with you there. I think Leeds winning it, higher scoreline. Maybe not. I think Telford, as we've mentioned, are in a good vein of form. You know, they did put 7 by Sheffield the night before, so to be nilled is a bit of a...
That's what I mean. It's just a shutout,
Yeah.
which for me, I was.
But again, this is what we're talking about, where Milton Keynes have wobbled, Leeds have said, right, we're in the big run now. Last few weeks, if we want to take this title, we've got to put in some big results, and that is another one for me against a very informed Telford side. They've just gone, no, shut the door on them, 3-0. You know,
Points are ours.
You
might be picking up points against everyone else, but not against us.
It's serial winners performances where Milton Keynes haven't quite been there every season to challenge Leeds. Leeds are, like I said, they're just the machine. They're now to win. They've been there.
Yeah, and they've sent a message, haven't they, to the rest of the league, I think. But yeah, then the final fixture of the weekend was the Berkshire Bees against the Bristol Pitbulls. Yeah, your boys. I know.
Yeah, I was keeping an eye on this one while we was at Seahawks on the night. Yeah, and the Bees I think it was ahead for most of the night, to be honest with you. Big result, as much as we mentioned the Pitbulls beating Romford 9-5, that little bottom two, swapping and changing positions, keeping it tight, who's going to finish bottom, and the Bees have come out in that sort of little derby match there for them positions.
Yeah. I'm not surprised by that either. We've talked about the Bees quite a lot on this podcast, and they have really got something cooking. They've obviously had it difficult this season, but you can't write them off in any game.
That home form, if they can continue that into next season, I tell you what, they won't be bottom.
No.
If they continue to make their home a high place to go and visit, then fair play to them. Much the same way as Solway are. Yeah. When teams go to Solway, they struggle.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. So we'll move on to the standings currently. In first position, we've got Milton Keynes Lightning. They've got 77 points and have played 50 games. Under them, do you want to tell you the
49 played, 77 points for the Leeds Knights, as we've mentioned. Obviously, they've got that game in hand, but they win that. They have one hand on the cup, potentially.
Yeah, but look at the difference between the two teams. It's worth mentioning. They're on the same points, but MK have had 9 overtime wins, and Leeds have had 1.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Milton Keynes have maybe had to ride the luck and get those overtime wins, which has kept them thereabouts, but Leeds have had 10 more clear wins. Again, they are setting a benchmark of where you need to be. We've said about Seahawks now, they've been good throughout the season, but you can no longer have those dips.
No.
Because when you do, you're already out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Leeds have set a precedent with what you got to do to win the league, and I think a lot of teams may be good, but they're just not quite there. Yeah,
and let's say that Leeds drop a game.
Yeah.
Let's say they drop a game against us, last game of the actual season, to not pick up them additional 2 points, and it stays level.
Yeah.
And we go on, so then we go into goal difference, and again, it just shows you, doesn't it? There's not loads in it, but
there's not. I mean, you asked the question. Milton Keynes have scored more but conceded more. Would you rather be a higher scorer? Or would you rather have a tighter defence? I think I'd rather be tighter at the back, if I'm honest.
I think the same. To be honest with you, Leeds have got a points percentage of 78%. Well, 79 if you want to round up.
Yeah.
Whereas MK have got a points percentage of 77. So if it does end up coming down to the wire, these few games are going to be important for him to
get
shutouts and score goals.
That statement I just said, would you rather score more or concede less? They've conceded more, and then they've had to go to overtime and then had to really dig it out.
Yeah.
So I'd rather be a lot cleaner at the back and be more solid and get 10 more extra wins like Leeds had, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But we'll go back in. So third place, Swindon Wildcats, 50 played, 70 points. So 7 points away.
Yeah.
What is the left now?
2 games maybe. 2-3 games.
There's 4 games at top, so there's 8 points to play for. If you require Milton Keynes and Leeds to lose all of them, and Swindon win them all to take it.
I think you're pretty much looking at your final 3. I will say.
Yeah.
Not I won't say 4 because we'll come into that. So in 4th place we've got the Hull Seahawks. They've played 50 games on 62 points.
Yeah, so we got that down to like 2 or 3 points, didn't we, at one point? And then we got the result reversed against Peterborough, which sort of threw it back a little bit. But yeah, we've sort of been up and down at the moment. I think the Seahawks and Matty Davis have kind of accepted that we'll finish sort of 4th, and maybe just see how we get on and try different things and different lands.
Well, it's just going off into playoffs, isn't it? Once you've qualified, you've qualified. I think. Don't know. You should rather pick a certain group that you're going. It doesn't really matter, don't it? Because if you fancy yourself as a competitor, you got to go into that.
You've got to beat the best.
Yeah, you've got to go into it against anyone.
Yeah,
so.
exactly that.
Then Peterborough Phantoms, we've talked about their form this weekend. They've played 50 games and are on 59 points, so there's just 3 points in it between Peterborough and Hull.
And we've got the double header, which could be worth 4 points. So potentially we could slip into that 5th spot by the end of next weekend. Yeah. And if I'm completely honest, it wouldn't surprise me at this point.
No, I think it's likely. So I would certainly hope that we'd come away with at least one of those results.
I think, if you win, if each team defends their home ice, I think you'd be happy. But
yeah, it's a bit close for comfort, isn't it?
I think Peterborough would be quite up for that, to take that extra spot.
I
just
agree,
for sort of like moral high ground, if anything.
Yeah.
We toppled you. We was clear at one point as well, weren't we?
Yeah, it was.
It's a little bit disappointing.
Yeah. Then we've got Sheffield Steel Dogs in 6th position. They've played 51 games and are on 54 points.
Yeah, so again, I think they'll just stay there. They won't catch either us or Peterborough. They'll just settle there now, and they've got points they need to gain on us, and they're quite clear of those behind them.
Then we've got the Romford Raiders in 7th position, 49 played, 47 points. So you'd say that's maybe just they're in a good spot for playoffs.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to catch any of those teams.
No, like I just said, I can't see them catching Sheffield. They'd have to win both their games in hand to really tighten it up. And
I think this weekend will be a defining one for who qualifies and who doesn't. We
should know sort of after this weekend of who's going to finish where, because it'd be unlikely to change too much over the last weekend. So that's when everybody will start getting excited and predictions and stuff will start coming out. So it'll be an interesting one.
Yeah, and in the 8th position then we've got Telford Tigers. They've played 51, are on 46 points. So they've currently secured that last playoff position.
Yeah.
However, still a few games to go. What do you think on this? Because Solway Sharks, they're in 9th. They've got 50 games they've played and they're on 40 points.
Yeah, so they've got the game in hand over Telford, which will put them 42, 4 points behind. Potential for 8 points left. It's doable. I don't see it personally. I think Telford have got themselves in a real nice vein of form.
Yeah.
I don't see it changing.
I'm quite happy with that though, if I'm honest with you. I'd like to see Telford make the playoffs because we've talked about them a lot and we've seen the form that they've come into.
As weird as it sounds, to be honest with you, mate, I think a lot of teams would be happy to see Telford over Solway, because can you imagine going into them playoff groups and having to travel to Solway to play them?
True.
People would rather travel. If you've got like someone like Telford, other teams in that vicinity where you're doing a bit of travel, you can stay over and get your games played. Yeah. Travelling up all the way to Solway and coming back down, I think a lot of teams would be happy for Solway not to be in the playoffs, unfortunately.
Yeah, so then in 10th position we've got the Berkshire Bees. They've played 50 on 32 points. But in 11th position we've got Bristol Pitbulls, who have also played 50 and are on 32 points.
So obviously the Pitbulls got a nice win against Romford Raiders, which put them above Bees.
Yeah.
And then obviously they lost to Bees on the Sunday, and then it goes down to all the nitty gritty, goal difference, this, that, and the other to sort them out, and the Bees just come off the bottom.
I'll tell you what, it might be the battle at the bottom, but it's very interesting to see, isn't it?
Because I know you don't get anything for it, and nobody wants to be bottom, and I think that's why it maybe makes it a bit more exciting, because the Bees are being written off for months and months now. So obviously, as a a big fan of the Bees, I'd also like to see them not finish bottom. I think that'd be quality for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I would prefer Berkshire to be where they are, and it's to finish that way then Bristol. So
yeah. Well, that concludes looking at the results and the standings. We're now going to go into our team of the week. So now we're going to look at our team of the week. It was a tough one this week, to be honest. You know, in terms of our potential netminders and defencemen, the forwards were doing the job this week, but it was hard to pick our defencemen. So we'll get into it, and we'll start off. I'll let you go first. Do you want to start with our netminder or forwards?
yeah, well, I'll start with the netminder. We'll work our way through.
Yeah.
So yeah, first and foremost, our netty in the team of the week is one of our own, Jordan McLaughlin. He had a fantastic game on Sunday against Solway and saved 3 out of 3 pen shots.
Yeah.
And Hugh obviously was there for that game. So
yeah, I mean, it was easy for us to potentially look at Rennie Marr again or Gozzy.
yeah,
You know, both getting shutouts this weekend, but we decided to just maybe go for something a little different. I personally thought McLaughlin struggled a little bit against Solway throughout the game. He was maybe left out to dry a bit, but when it came to them pen shots, you know, you could see the confidence. I said to you before camera, but he saved the first one, then skated towards the player and gave him some grief, so you could see he was just building his own confidence there.
yeah.
You know, it's never easy going into a shootout like that, but to save 3 out of 3 was absolutely quality.
Yeah.
So fair play, Geordie. You're our goaltender of the week. Our next player on there, a defenceman, is Scott Robson of the Peterborough Phantoms.
Yeah, he had a fantastic game, didn't he? And notably against MK,
Yeah.
which was a big win
Yeah.
for them, and it was also a massive result for MK, but in a negative way.
Yeah.
He come away with a goal and an assist, so that notably for a defenseman as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Massive,
You know, in games against like the top teams in the league, you look towards your forwards, your imports, your big creative influences, and then your defenseman comes in clutch and just says, "I'll have a goal and assist on the night." I mean,
yeah,
that's exactly what you want in it, really. So, yeah, fair play to Scott. Well done.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to take it on me?
Go on.
Yeah. So our next defenseman is a guy obviously we now have been in touch with and kindly gave us an interview last week. It's the one and only Tyler Plews. 2 reasons really. They had a shutout win over the Bees,
Yeah.
which is a difficult place to go to. So, and Tyler mentioned to us how hard it is to travel to the Bees. So, and he was up for it. He was talking to us about his training regime, so giving us a bit of insight. And the other reason is for just being an absolute legend for the Slapshot Syndicate. He was an absolute pleasure to talk to, and you know we wanted to show some appreciation for that. So, Tyler, you're in the team of the week, mate.
And now we're going to move into the forwards. So our first forward is Lackinen, also of the Peterborough Phantoms. You know, like we said, that big win for Peterborough, unbelievable. And this guy, you know, 4 points on the night.
Yeah.
That's good in itself. On the second night, playing Sheffield, he did the same again and got 4 points again. So he had an 8-point weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. That there's nothing more you can say about that really. It's just a fantastic weekend,
Yeah.
against some big teams. So hats off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So our next forward is from the Bristol Pitbulls. It's Billy Harewood. Billy got a 6-point weekend, 4 points on both nights, and just had a fantastic weekend for himself and the Pitbulls really. So notably, obviously that win they got on the Saturday was massive for him. So
Yeah,
fair play.
absolutely. And our final player that fits into the forward line is Matt Barron of the Leeds Knights. Again, absolutely unbelievable weekend from this guy. It was a real toss up between him and Kieran Brown, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know, the pair of them ran riot when they hosted the Hull Seahawks, and then he also picked up a couple more points on the Sunday. So he ended up with 8 points on the weekend.
6 of those being at Hull.
Yeah, playing against Hull, you know, a tough team for the Leeds Knights, and yet, you know, he put 6 points away, which is absolutely massive. So he had to go in there. Like you say, it was between him and Kieran Brown, and we decided to go with Matt Barron for a change this time round. So
Well done.
well done, all the players involved in this week's team of the week. So now we're going to go into this week's big talking point. Big, maybe a bit of an operable word on this one, but we've got a talking point, and this week's talking point is going to be hockey memorabilia and collectibles.
Yeah, interesting one, this, isn't it? I actually really like it. You like your collectibles.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've got a few knocking about the studio. We've got a nice little Emil Svek picture here. A few things picked up from when I was in New York for like foam finger.
Our pucks on the front.
We've got pucks, yeah. Obviously from over the years, you've got some on there that are from, God,
way back, yeah, like Stingrays days and Pirates and whatever else. I think, everything in the world now, especially like TV and entertainment as a whole, there's always collectibles and memorabilia and stuff that people are into. And that obviously goes for sport as well, but not just the obvious things. When we go to a game, we go for our first double doors, and we've just got our like merchandise store there, and there's anything and everything, it seems, at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've got some stuff from there, whether it's clothing, puck, they do like the broken sticks and stuff sometimes on sale. Or the funny t-shirts, which, to be fair, shout out to Ian Mill, made a fantastic t-shirt, didn't he, last season?
Yeah, he was the first to do that when obviously Svek was becoming everybody's most favourite, so he put a t-shirt and printed Svek's face on it, and he must have sold easy 50 plus, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was quality, and then the Seahawks took it up themselves and started doing it for each player, didn't they?
Yeah.
So just little ideas that people can get into, and it just creates that little atmosphere. Like you say, seeing everybody walking around with these t-shirts on was really cool.
Yeah, obviously you got the shirt off the back and the stick raffle that they do.
Yeah.
50-50 is obviously a big one, but I actually think more people tend to focus on these because memorabilia means a lot to people. You mentioned to me just before we started this about the Pride jersey.
Yeah. So this Sunday just gone when Seahawks played Solway Sharks in our Chuka Puck. They mentioned that it was a Pride jersey, but the design was one that they didn't quite go with, so it was a one-off. So it was a really unique jersey that nobody else would be able to pick up. So being able to just for the sake of throwing a puck and trying to get as close to the shirt as possible, you can win like a really unique, one-of-a-kind shirt, which is really cool. And people who collect shirts and stuff will be bang up for that. Yeah,
it's unreal, isn't it? It's unreal. But there's also, when we went to the Hull Jets, they made us a personalised puck with our logo on and the Jets logo, and we was like kids in the sweet shop when we saw that.
Three guys that are like 30 years old, and they was like, oh yeah, we've just done this year, it's no big deal, and we were just like, oh my god. It was like, just seeing something like that, especially with our logo on, was really cool and unique, and you just thought, nobody else has this or has been given this.
It just brings memories, doesn't it? We might look back in that in 5 years' time and be like, Jesus, remember when we got this?
When we first started in our first sort of like outing, and we was given that puck, and it was sort of like the start of our little adventure. It was it's really cool for stuff like that, and I think that's the thing with like memorabilia and collectibles, and they all hold that sort of memory of when you got them and why you got them, and I think that's why people just buy things and keep them, and everything's got a story behind it.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. I mean, Rangers shirt from New York. This is Al's first shirt that he got given from Emmy Svek himself after the season had finished, and this one is one I got for my fiance when I was in New York. So again, I associate that with going to the New Jersey Devils game in New York, and which I proposed to her in New York. It all brings back these happy memories and stuff. I'm sure we'll look back in years' time and think, it's not just a hockey jersey. It reminds you of some sort of significance. And I think that's, you still collect memorabilia, don't you? Even to this day.
Yeah. I mean, not even just like hockey stuff. God, I collect all sorts and everything, really.
Bit of a geek.
Yeah, a bit of a geek. I love it. Really. Love it. But like you say, collectibles and stuff have become sort of like big business and money now. Like my sort of side hustle is Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
And I ended up selling a card for £1,600 last year.
Yeah.
So it's just like these things hold value to a lot of people. So yeah, I mean, we'll get into some more examples of gear that is currently available, and maybe some that we reckon would make quite cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing to note, obviously we've got experience from what the Seahawks have done, so it'd be interesting for you as fans to tell us what memorabilia you can pick up from your clubs, because we realise that it can be quite localised. So Hull Seahawks at the end of last season, they did basically a shop where you could come in and buy all of their equipment that they wasn't going to use moving forward. And Aaron, myself and Alex, we was wanting to try and get into playing a bit of ball hockey, just trying to experience it. But obviously you need the equipment to do so, and it's quite an expensive to gear up to play hockey.
Yeah.
So that was like gold dust to us, really, wasn't it? I mean, I've got Nathan Salem's helmet from the last season he played for us, which is great, holds a bit of memorabilia, but it also allowed me to go and play hockey with you guys when we picked that up. So then you went and had a look. Some, maybe not some of the gloves and that, because a bit stinky, weren't they? But there's definitely some bits there that we could pick up, and you looked at and you thought, yeah, do you know what, I'd love to just own that.
Yeah, like you say, even I know for yourself you did it so you could actually play, but like the Seahawks one had like the Seahawks logo, embroidered into the glove. I mean, somebody would have absolutely gone mad for that and kept that. I mean, that's a real unique piece of collectible.
But that's just one of the benefits it has, isn't it? That was good for us to go and have a look and try and.
It benefits the fans, you wanting to play, and the club.
Yeah.
Because like they've worn it all season, and obviously they'll get new stuff every year.
Yeah.
Obviously they'll wear through it that much. But then it's like a fan who could probably pick it up for a fraction of the price of an actual pair of gloves. Again, it's story. Oh yeah, Salem wore that helmet last season and he scored this many goals, or it's little things like that which make a big deal, and it gives back to the club as well. They make a bit of money for it, and it covers anything really, doesn't it?
Yeah. So what do you want to see? What's your big thing where you're like, I'd love to start collecting them?
Well, being like a bit of a geek, like I said, with the Pokemon card things, I know Seahawks have just sort of started it this past weekend, but they've started like a sticker book.
Yeah.
So for me, also being a bit of a sadder like that, I
a lot of kids in Azza.
Yeah, just all these kids on this side, and you just see someone real tall and nice. Like, what's going on here? But no, I think it'd be sick. At current, Seahawks are doing it. Potentially, I'd love to see it like league-wide. Can you imagine like having like a sticker book or trading cards?
Yeah.
That goes through the entire league, and you had to like fill like a band or an album.
Yeah.
And not even necessarily a case of having to go to each place to actually just get their stickers, but like if every team pulled together and we just had like an NIHL, sticker
like a
album.
little pack.
Oh,
a little pack of cards you could get.
Unbelievable.
Like match attacks back in the day.
Yeah.
We used to run into the shop and ask for a few packs.
Imagine just like getting into like the cafe at Hull Arena and you say, oh, have you got, I don't know, you got Jake Bricknell from Swindon. Oh yeah, I'll swap it for me Swek. How cool would that be?
Yeah, it would be actually,
The bigger sense of that is it's bringing people and fans together, and there's that sort of atmosphere and talking to people, which, is what we want to see. We don't want to see, the bad scenes that we see at sports or just in the world in general where people are harming each other and God knows what else. We want to see people being together and enjoying something, and just a little thing like that can bring people together.
That's a real good point you make. We've seen that all the time. People talk about the Hull Arena being quite a hostile environment to come to, and then after the games you see the posts on Facebook groups and stuff with people kicking off about things that have happened. But if you had a couple of cards that you needed to go swap, you might be more inclined to go and have a walk around and talk to the Leeds fans and be like, has anybody got Kieran Brown in shiny?
Match winner.
Yeah. Just have stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, it brings stuff together, or little bobbleheads. I'd love to kit this out even more and just get some bobbleheads on.
Well, we've seen obviously like Pop Vinyl's obviously like a big like name company that do all these like little figures and stuff, but they've mainly done like the NIHL, and I've got a couple of those myself now.
Yeah.
But even if we just had something, maybe not a Pop Vinyl, but something similar, obviously because of the sort of standing of our league and all that sort of stuff. But I think like a little bobblehead or like say a Pop Vinyl would be cool to have of each of the players.
A little Bobby Chamberlain thing, or a Bobby head, as we call it. Just popping up there.
Just give his little head a little flick. But yeah, I think something like that would be really cool. Can you imagine like just having like seen those, like even the box was like Seahawks logo and stuff like that? Oh, that'd be...
Yeah.
People would get them signed as well. Like the boxes or like the little figure signed, it'd just be...
Yeah, and what an experience as well. Even for like the players, to see kids or, in your case, adults going around and asking, maybe to get a signature on a little thing. That sort of memories will last a lifetime for them and for the players. I think. What more of a compliment than someone coming up? And...
I think it's a win-win all round. It's sales, merchandise sales for the club, which is always a big benefit. Like say for kids, it's like a new toy. For an adult like me, it's a collectible. Like say, it's got a story. The players obviously on the little figures would have like that current jersey. And can you imagine having one from like 10 years in a row?
Yeah.
That'd be ridiculous. Like see how the little jerseys change from them and stuff like that. I think it's a win-win for everybody when I look at stuff like that.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. I mean, one thing you noted that you'd love to see is a calendar shoot.
Yeah, well obviously we've got some good-looking boys who play in that team, so I'd love to see a nice little calendar shoot there, and I'm sure it'd fly out the door, wouldn't it?
Christmas jerseys come out, and that's it. You've
Who said out about a jersey?
You've got Deck Barmer laid in front of a Christmas tree with the Christmas jersey.
Just a candy cane hanging from his mouth. No, we're laughing, we joke about it now, but that's
the comedy value, isn't it? Yeah.
The comedy value, and you know what? I think it would genuinely sell. I know it sounds weird, but the whole sort of like sex appeal and stuff like that. A lot of people do see these like players as like heroes and stuff, don't they?
Yeah.
I can assure you now there'd be a lot of people who would pay for an unshirted ice hockey player. Let's just say that. I think there's potential for some money to be made.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be brilliant. I'd absolutely love to see it. I mean, I'm not that way inclined. However, just for the comedy value, I would absolutely buy one.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've just said about obviously like the topless version, but you could just do anything daft though.
It is really. Look at the graphic that Bones did.
Yeah.
For his goal
Absolutely.
Scoring, the
Even
innuendo behind it. But...
Even like you say, like the goal celebrations, just like a screen capture of those and putting them on. I think would be quite cool. Like a different player each month.
Yeah.
Or like you say, it'd be funny if they did like. If you wasn't a nice hockey player, so you saw like Bonner dressed up as a fireman or something like that. I think it'd be so good.
Yeah, I tell you what, that is the idea to run with on now. If you're a team admin or someone looking at this, definitely get that idea shot across.
I mean, we've got good credit. We mentioned about being mic'd up. We've already seen 2 teams that got that, and we only mentioned it last week. So we've got good form of coming up with good stuff. So get on that.
Calendar shoot, you heard it here first. But yeah, no, it is. We could go on about this, about what we'd love to see, but realistically, clubs are already doing it. We just want to see more of it. There's more profit to be had. Fans will want to buy into it. You might bring out 5 ideas and you get one of those ideas that skyrockets because everybody wants more of it. But
yeah, I mean, like obviously with social media and the whole media platform at the minute, there's a chance for clubs sort of interact with the fans and just be like, what do you want? If we post like a poll. Yeah, and see what people come up with. There could be something real obscure. I mean, somebody will come up with like they want like a knife and fork set with like the logo or something. You never know, do you? Yeah. Somebody might come up with something really obscure like that, and if the club has enough attention to it, then they'd probably go for it.
You've got to jump on the bandwagon with this stuff, though, aren't you? Look at the Stanley Cups that came out.
Yeah.
I noticed they've got them on the merch stand now at the moment. Yeah, or they definitely did have not so long back.
It was like stuff like fidget spinners. Remember just seeing like kids with them. It's just like what even are they? But like everybody was onto them. Can you imagine like a little fidget spinner with the Seahawks logo on it?
Yeah.
It'd just be something stupid, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? You can get on anything that sort of height.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think that's something to go for. But I definitely want to see the calendar shoot this year.
The calendar shoot is number one.
End of season calendar shoot. Get it sorted.
Can you imagine like the laugh of the day that would be?
Oh,
I think the players would just be bantering each other all
team bonding. So team bondage maybe. We'll see, but yeah, definitely. There's some stuff to run with there, and I hope to see it in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know it's only a short little talking point this week, but as it comes towards the end of the season, we just want to run it down, maybe have a bit of a laugh with some of these talking points while we've got some interviews going on. And this one was just a quick, snappy little one that we thought was worth a bit of a laugh, and we've made some of it, really, haven't we?
Yeah.
So we'd obviously like to hear from you guys as well. If you've got any ideas, something cool, throw it in there, and we'll see what we'll. Of it. We might just throw it out there like we have the photo shoot.
Yeah, there might be stuff you've got already that we haven't thought about, but on hearing it, would absolutely love something like that. So yeah, by all means, just please get in touch, drop us a message about what you've got, send us some photos. For example, we might be able to do a bit of a segment where we show what people have picked up over the time. And
you send us the pictures and we'll show it off. I mean, like you say, why not make a bit of a community thing and like, oh, you seen who's got this sort of thing? It'd be quite cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I know, like, the big one for me this week was that the Bees have done like a retro throwback shirt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how cool is that? They've sort of brought something back from years gone by. And I love that, movie, like a retro fitted sort of shirt.
And everyone loves a bit of retro these days, don't they? So it's good marketing.
Rate that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that concludes our big talking point this week. Like we said, please get in touch, and we'll move into our next segment. And now we're going to look into the fixtures for the upcoming week. There is a monumental game this week, as we've just sort of noticed, but we'll get into it. So this Friday, the 14th of March, there's 2 games this Friday, which makes a nice change instead of just the one.
Yeah, starting with Romford Raiders, Leeds Knights.
Yeah, so big one for Leeds to start off the weekend against the Romford Raiders. Personally, I only see this going one way, if I'm completely honest.
Yeah, definitely. I just don't see this Leeds team getting beat now, if I'm honest.
No, the way they're playing at the moment, like you say, if it's not a shutout, they get in, they're steamrolling someone. It just seems to be business as usual for Leeds at the minute, and like I said, I don't see this going anywhere but a Leeds victory.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we've got the Bristol Pitbulls against Swindon Wildcats. Again, I don't see this going any other way but Swindon.
Yeah, I think Swindon will win it, but I've got a weird feeling like it might go a bit closer, this one. I don't know why, there's just... Pitbulls might just think, we need to maybe get something to get off the foot of the table here, so... there's potential, there's different outcomes. We could potentially be something in there for the Pitbulls. I think it'll go Swindon. I think it was like a 3-1 or something like that, potentially.
Yeah, that's a good prediction, to be honest. Moving on then, on the Saturday fixtures, we'll start with the Romford Raiders at the Berkshire Bees. That'll be a good game.
Yeah, Bees travelling to Raiders is an interesting one. I fancy Bees. I don't know why, I just do.
Do you know what? I know what you're saying, because there's something in my stomach saying that Bees will come away with this.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling.
I feel like they've got something to play for, whereas Romford they're already there, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're already there, and the Bees need something.
I think it's easy to go for the Raiders on that one, but like you say, I wouldn't be able to say it wholeheartedly. There's something that's just telling me the Bees have got a sniff there.
Yeah. Let's call it then. I'm going to say Bees.
Yeah, Bees.
Then we've got the Hull Seahawks and the Peterborough Phantoms. First of a double header the weekend. This is going to be a bit awkward for us.
A Saturday night at home for Seahawks, which isn't the usual. So we're at home first, then we go to Peterborough on the Sunday. But it's a hard one to call. As we've discussed in this episode, I've mentioned it a couple of times. Do we rest a couple of players and get them in fit shape for the playoffs, which means that we could be potentially without some massive players going into this. Yeah. Our form's a bit up and down at the minute. Peterborough are an absolute flyer.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it earlier in a segment that is it a case of just defend your home ice? Do
you know what? I'm going to say that, and I'm already going to say that for this and obviously the game on the Sunday. I'm going to go for one apiece here.
Yeah, I see it. I think for us, we'll take that result.
Yeah.
Because it won't change the standings.
Absolutely.
And I do feel like we've still got something to play for. At this late stage of the season, you don't want to drop a position again, do you? Especially after you've been sitting relatively comfortable. And notably that, the last time we played Peterborough, we had that result overturned, so you've got to get one back there. So I think I agree with you. Let's go. I'm going to go Seahawks on the Saturday, but Peterborough on the Sunday.
I agree with that one, yeah.
Moving on then, so we've got the Swindon Wildcats against the Bristol Pitbulls.
Yeah, so this is their second of their double header, so another interesting one this. I still fancy Swindon, especially at home this time. Close one again I think, but Swindon for me.
Yeah, I agree. And the big one. So potentially the season-defining game. We've got Milton Keynes Lightning against Leeds Knights.
Yeah, so where do you start with this? Because this is make or break for me. This is...
For both teams.
Yeah, you know...
This gives MK a real chance, doesn't it? If they can win Leeds in this game...
I think they need to.
Because this is essentially their game in hand.
Yeah. But Milton Keynes coming off a subpar weekend, they really... I think if Milton Keynes lose this, then they're done. If I'm honest.
Yeah, there will be no coming back from that.
I think it is over at that point. I think Milton Keynes need to win it just to sort of, I know it's obvious, stay in the battle towards the end. But yeah, like you say, this Leeds team don't look like they can be beat. So if Milton Keynes could knock them off the perch, then fair play to them. For me, I'm going to go Leeds.
See, I'm going to be controversial and go Milton Keynes just because it's home ice.
Yeah,
they know what's at stake with this, and
they probably fought that against Peterborough as well though this past weekend.
True, but they've been so close, like in the last couple of seasons, but they've never been as close as this season in recent years. So I think they know there's a lot to play for, and they're going to put everything into this game, as will Leeds, obviously. Yeah. But on the home ice and the home crowd, I just think they might be able to do the job.
I think all eyes will be on this game. You know, I know we've got a game, we'll be attending our game, but I think eyes will be on this one. A lot of other teams don't have much to play for. It's kind of the enjoyment of the game, whereas this one's big. Yeah.
So you're going Leeds, I'll go Milton Keynes for that one.
Yeah.
And the final fixture on Saturday is the Solway Sharks against the Sheffield Steel Dogs.
Yeah, so Solway hosting Sheffield, so the big trip up there. It's a weird one to call this. You know, Solway gave us a good game the past weekend. Sheffield a real gritty, determined team. Narrow victory for Sheffield for me.
Yeah, I agree, actually. I think Solway will have... they'll be very aware that they've got Leeds the following day.
Yeah.
So that's going to be playing on their man, so they've got to travel there.
I might share a coach back up this way with Sheffield.
Yeah.
And just keep over. That'll be a good coach trip back, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but I do agree. I think Sheffield Steel Dogs will come away with a point on this one.
Absolutely.
So moving on then, on the Sunday fixtures, on the 16th of March, we start with the Leeds Knights and the Solway Sharks. Easy call for me, Leeds Knights.
Yeah, it depends like what it would look like for Leeds. They've either come off a massive win at Milton Keynes or
devastating loss,
and they need to get back on track. Which for me, there's probably I don't want to say no better team because no disrespect to Solway, but you'd want to be playing somewhere like a Solway when you need to get back on track. So it's an interesting one to call. I think Leeds would obviously win the game, but it's just the circumstances around the game would be quite interesting for me.
Yeah. I think Leeds will do that. I think probably 5 goals, I'd say. Peterborough Phantoms against the Hull Seahawks, a second of the double header. We've predicted this one. We're both going to go
Peterborough on this one.
Yeah, both teams defend the home ice, so Peterborough with this result. And the Berkshire Bees against the Romford Raiders.
Again, this is another, double header game.
But it's at Bees.
It's at Bees. I fancied the Bees at Romford, and I fancy the Bees more at home.
Yeah, so, well, Al said before, didn't he, about Bees on their home ice, and I fully agree with him. So, yeah, Bees for me as well.
4-point weekend for the Bees, incoming. Rate that.
And the final game on the Sunday, Telford Tigers, Milton Keynes Lightning. Now, this could be a really interesting game.
Yeah, I want to quote Rossy because he's not here, but a sticky fixture.
Yeah.
I love it when he drops that in there. But yeah, I completely agree with you on this one. Telford, great form as of late, picking up some great victories. Like I said about the Leeds and Solway game, again with Milton Keynes, the circumstances around this, they could be on a massive high after beating Leeds, or they could be a bit dejected and thinking, do you know what, we've let this slip now. Yeah,
I agree. Predicting that Milton Keynes come away with a win on the Saturday, I'm going to predict that they'll come away with the win on the Sunday as well.
I'm going to go for Milton Keynes on this one, so they'll get beat Saturday, but then recover on Sunday for me.
Yeah, so that rounds up the fixtures for the upcoming weekend, and that finishes our podcast for this week. Just want to say a big thank you to everybody for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the content, and definitely stay tuned. We've got some exciting things coming up, and an announcement probably coming out this week.
Yeah, so obviously the big announcement that you're talking about we're going to drop in the coming week or two. Also, foresight for next week, we're going to be doing our team of the season.
We are indeed. Do you want to talk us through some of that?
Yeah, so for next week, our big talking point will be covering our team of the season, or of the regular season. So the three of us are going to talk through our teams and pick our 5 out ice players and our netminders. We want you to join in with this as well, because this will be really cool. So,
but there are some rules, which Azza will tell you now.
Yeah, so we've got some rules here. So out of your 6 players on the ice, you can only have 2 imports, and you can only have 1 player from a set side.
Yeah. So that means you can't, if you're a Leeds fan, you can't choose all these players for your team, because that's not what we're going for.
You can only have 1 player from each team. No ifs or buts.
Yeah.
But please do join in with us next week. Like I say, we're going to be going through it. We're going to be taking our time. We're going to be showing you the players that we've picked and why we've picked them. And we're willing to give some of you guys a shout out if you can drop the 6 players.
Yeah, just drop us a message on Instagram, comments on YouTube. We'll try and get through as many as possible. We'll pick out the ones that really stand out to us, and yeah, we'll give you a shout out. But thanks a lot for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and please give us a like, follow, subscription, and yeah, see you next time.
See you next week.